A while back I took this open hull rowboat, I took it apart and designed a complete transformation into a really nice deck boat. I framed it out in aluminum, made some compartments, added plenty of flotation foam and some finishing touches. I ended up with a really nice decked out bass boat. But this is what it looks like now. She needs a little bit of love. Alright, so I've gotten a few things done since the last episode, but mostly I've discovered a couple of more problems, which aren't huge problems, but they're going to delay work a little bit because I got to order a bunch more stuff. But you can tell by the conditions out here, it's almost noon and it's really dark and cloudy and it's probably going to rain pretty soon. So we're only going to be able to do a little bit today. I'll show you what I've done so far, but let's talk about what I've decided to use as my material to reconstruct with, how I'm going to cover the deck, and some of the more fun upgrades that I'm doing to the boat. This is where I'm keeping all the stuff that I bought, and there's new stuff coming in all the time. I just went up the driveway and I had this stuff up at the gate. I'm keeping those Amazon drivers pretty busy. So let's talk a little bit about the materials I've decided to use. First of all, last episode I asked you guys what you thought I should use for the decking, and I wasn't really clear because I'm not going to change this PVC. I had a bad section over there, as you guys saw in the last episode, but what I am going to change is all the hatch covers, and I don't want to go back with PVC for those because they definitely did not last. So the one part of the deck that I do need to replace was that part the foam had sort of bubbled up, and I'm going to replace that again with PVC because I think the PVC works great for decking. I just had the bad luck that this two-part expanding foam just kept expanding and ruined this section of deck. So that's what I was asking. What should I use for these hatch lids? The other question I had was, what am I going to cover all this with? Carpet, paint, vinyl, more EVA foam? All those were on the table. Some of them are a little more expensive than others, but I've decided, and I'll tell you what I decided on in a second. Let's go look at what I've already bought. So I bought this 2-foot by 4-foot piece of 1/2-inch PVC. It was 40 bucks, but I think this is going to be the best over time. It'll never rot. For all the other parts, including the cockpit floor, I've decided to go with exterior sanded plywood. This 4x8 sheet should be enough to do all the hatch lids and that section of cockpit floor that I've got to replace too. And the price on this was somewhere around 40 bucks, $43. And I'll go into all the costs when we're done. At the very end, I'll let you know all that I've spent. Now, to do the final cover on everything, I've decided to go with carpet. I just think it's the traditional thing to do. It's comfortable to stand on. I know it doesn't last forever. It'll probably only last 3 or 4 years, but I'm considering making a boat cover for the boat, so maybe I can get it to last a little bit longer. To make sure that the plywood lasts for a very long time, I got some resin. And what I'm going to do with the resin is I'm going to thin it really well with acetone so it turns into a penetrating resin, and I'm going to make sure it penetrates this wood really well, and I'll do all the end grains, but we'll do that after we've cut all the pieces. Now let's get into the fun part, the real upgrade. So as you can see, I got 2 new trolling motors, a motor guide for the bow with a foot control, and a little 50-pound thrust transom mount to put on the back. And that was always my arrangement. I've always had a bow mounted trolling motor and a stern mounting trolling motor. I just find it a lot easier to use the stern motor to buzz across the lake and then the bow motor to fish with. Now you can see I mixed and matched here. I got a Minn Kota and a motor guide, and that was on purpose. I want to see which one lasts the most. And I've been scratching my head trying to remember how many trolling motors I've had on this boat since I actually put it out on the lake. And I think I have a way to figure that out. And here's my evidence. I always keep the propellers from everything that ever goes bad. That's 5. So I don't even want to think about how much money that represents over the past, well, it's been 18 years, so can't cry too much. But besides the trolling motor, I'm super excited about my new lithium batteries. After I upgraded to lithium on my flats boat, I've been so happy with those batteries. They last so long. I never have to worry about recharging on a 3-day trip. I don't have to hustle around the marina trying to find somebody that'll allow me to plug in somewhere, because I can go at least 3 days, like 8-hour days, without even beginning to worry that I'm gonna start losing power on the batteries. So I'm super happy to have these. It's a little bit overkill. I've got 2 of these LiTime 100 minis. These are their small version of their 100 amp hour battery. It's tiny, it's light, and it fits so much better than the lead acid batteries that I had in here. and it's so much lighter, it's going to make a big difference. Biggest difference is the amount of energy I have. So I used to keep 2 lead acid batteries in here, and each one has about 85 amp hours, but you can only discharge them down to about 60% charge. Otherwise, you really damage them and shorten their lives quite a bit. With these, I can discharge these things down to 30% charge. So that means the usable amp hours on those lead acid batteries was about 70 amp hours for both of them. With these, I'll have about 140 amp hours for both of them. Not to mention, they're just so much lighter. And then the most frustrating part about lead acid batteries for me is the lifespan of them. They really don't last much more than 2, 3, maybe 4 years if you're really lucky and you don't use it very much. I know that I was changing batteries at least every 2 years. One would go out every 18 months or something like that, and I would just replace one at a time. And I counted myself lucky that they didn't go bad both at the same time. You really have to kind of change the way you think about batteries when you think about lithium. They're completely different machines when compared to the lead acid batteries that we all have been using all our lives. These things just pack a lot of energy. They release that energy in a different way, and while you can't crank an engine with it, you can run everything on your boat all day long. And if you're like me and troll a lot, you always try to save your trolling motor batteries. You don't connect anything else to it. You don't want lights connected to it or anything because you don't want to eat the energy that you want to use for fishing. But with these things, I'm going to run everything with this. These guys will be running my aerator in the bait tank, the live well pump, everything will be run off this. And when I fish at night, that whole boat is going to be lit up with these guys, and I'll still have tons of power for the trolling motor. And when you think about the lifespan of these things, as long as you don't drop them or short them out, these things will last forever. I'll probably have to give this thing away in my will. I mean, if you think about it, minimum cycle life on this thing is 1,000 to 1,500, maximum 5,000. At 1,000, the absolute bare minimum, this thing will last me 40 years. Because you figure, what do you go out 25 times a year and cycle this thing down and then charge it back up? That means it'll last you 40 years minimum. You'll have to leave it to your kids. Anyway, I'm really happy with these things. Lithium Time has been super good to the channel. They've reached out to me for a couple of years now, and I turned them down a lot because I didn't want to be committed to anybody. They make a really good product. If you're interested in lithium batteries, check them out. I think they're going to have some kind of big sale for Black Friday, so you might want to check that out. And I'll also have whatever little bit of a discount code they'll let me use for you guys who watch the channel. All right, let's get to some work on the boat. The first order of business is to trim down this expanding foam. This is what caused most of my problems. So I made sure that I took a little extra out so it wouldn't do this again. Then I had to do a little cleanup after removing those rivets because part of the body stays there. So I just trimmed them off with this multi-tool. I did a little more cleaning up before getting any other work done. Being under a bunch of oak trees is really a pain. Then it was time to deal with all the surface rust on this plate. This plate actually supports the seat. It makes it rigid so it doesn't flex. The rust is just superficial, so I'm not too worried. After cleaning it with way too much acetone, I coated it with some galvanizing paint. Now this is supposed to be a spray can, but the spray nozzle clogged up right away. So I punched a hole in the can and just poured it on. And then I made the ugliest discovery of all. I found that all my wires were turning to dust. I'm completely shocked at this. All my wires have completely failed. They've just turned to oxidation all the way through. Look at, they're just dust on the inside. So if you try to strip it, it just breaks off the section. Unbelievable. I did run a string through my conduit so I can feed new wire in. Hopefully I can do that for everything. Well, it looks like I'm gonna have to just pull all new wire. That really sets me back because now I've got to order the wire. So the only thing I can do for now is put this piece of deck on because I don't want to cover anything else up just in case something goes wrong with my conduit. So in the meantime, let's go ahead and get that cable ordered. All right, I'll get these things positioned and then I'm gonna glue and screw some pieces of scrap PVC so that they won't move when I pull it out and use it as a one-piece template. So this edge right here is chamfered to match the slope of the hull. So I definitely want to get the widest part. Got to mark this center hole for the seat mount and the bowl holes too. All right, that should do it. Nicely marked. Let's start cutting. And I like to use a blade made for plexiglass. It makes a nice cut and doesn't chip. All right, that looks like it's going to fit really well. I just need to cut the angle to fit the hull, which is about 25 degrees. All right, it fits pretty well overall. I just need to take a little more on this angle. And I'll just do that with this small little craft plane. Something about planing something, even plastic, that's kind of satisfying. All right, nice fit. All I gotta do is cut out the holes and we'll rivet it down. Now I just need to mark out where this brace is so I can make sure that that's where the rivets lie. Guys, thanks for watching. We'll be back to making lures on the next video. And be sure to check out the link to the lithium batteries. I'll put that in the description along with the discount code. And I think they're gonna have some big discounts in the next couple of weeks, so you'll get an additional discount on top of that. And for the next update video on aluminum, my intention is to finish it on that video. So keep an eye out for that. Don't forget to subscribe and share this stuff with your buddies, and leave me a like if you're enjoying any of this stuff. All right, I'll see you next Friday. I don't even know what's in this package. I've been ordering so much stuff. I don't even know what I've ordered. Yeah, man, what is this?